Well, so much for Solyndra. Take a listen.
I think we should have 500 million more solar panels by the end of my first term.
500 million. Hillary Clinton doubling down on President Obama's green energy agenda. She wants to push more renewable power if she becomes president. But, Steve, you say we already know how these investments turn out.
Well, that's right, David. This plan deserves to go the way of her emails. It's simply what you might say a crude attempt, no pun intended, to buy votes in the Iowa caucuses. Iowa's already given us an ethanol disaster. We don't need any more. We have a clean energy, David. It's called natural gas. Let us produce more of that.
Yeah, but it's carbon, and they don't like carbon energy. Bruce, we have spent $150 billion on green projects since 2009 with this president. Hillary wants to spend a whole lot more. Look at how much we've gone in renewables. In 2009, 8.1% of our energy came from renewables. In 2014, 9.8%. Was it worth the $150 billion that taxpayers had to pony up?
Well, she has not been clear on how she wants to finance it. I think that's a fair point. But I mean, in Iowa, they've seen successful ventures with wind turbines and things like that.
You're from Iowa, right?
I am from Iowa, Burlington, Iowa, a proud card-carrying member. But I think there is a little bit of pandering here. But in Iowa, in the Des Moines area, there's an emerging biotech sector. And I think that, diversifying our sources of energy, it's not a bad idea.
All right. But, Emac, again, you look at the sort of pathetic little jump that we've had in renewables with all this money that taxpayers have spent. And we haven't talked about all of the projects that went bust, that went bankrupt, like Solyndra.
Yeah, $500 million said Solyndra. And we're now finding out that Solyndra actually misled and lied on their applications for federal loans. Wow, that was a big deal. The thing with this plan is the panels could become as obsolete as sewing machines. And by the way, under Hillary Clinton, her State Department said that the Keystone pipeline would not add to climate change or worsen climate change. So why not go that route, too?
Mike, the last time the government was on the cutting edge of anything, I think, was the Apollo program, where we sent a man to the moon. Now, we did it successfully. Many people said it was a government project, but it doesn't seem we're getting the same traction with the renewables.
David, what credentials does Hillary Clinton have that would make her think she has any clue as to the amount of solar panels this country should have? I'll give you the answer. It's zero. She knows nothing about it.
I thought that was a rhetorical question. Yeah.
Why would we trust the energy industry in a woman who can't keep track of emails, has never worked in the private sector, and is clueless about where energy comes from, how it's used, and what smart investors have decided are going to be the future of energy?
Well, Bill, particularly since she's running against another woman, Carly Fiorina, who's been in the technical sector, knows it much better than she does, and is not in favor of this plan.
Well, her plan essentially is to tax the middle class and hand the proceeds to green billionaires like Elon Musk and Al Gore. Now, I don't think those fat cats need any more of my money, and I especially don't think that the Clinton Foundation needs any more kickbacks.
Right. And that's a great point that Bill brings up, John, which is the crony capitalism we talked about and criticized here so often. It's just so encouraged when you have these big projects, these big major ideas that these politicians get.
Absolutely. Hillary promotes this idea that she's a future-seeing politician, yet she wants an energy source that last mattered in the 12th century. The reality is that if solar energy made sense, it wouldn't need federal funding in the first place. It would need no encouragement from politicians. The fact that she's encouraging it means that the markets don't want it.
And, Steve, the government has lied, or at least told untruths. I don't know if they were conscious, but I hold in my hand a newspaper from 2012, a Wall Street Journal piece, a news piece where they really investigated some of these government wind projects. This was one for $4.3 billion that the White House claimed employed 7,200 people. In fact, they went to every one of those projects and found there were only 300 in total. 7,200 was a claim, 300 was the actual.
Well, that's typical of cronyism, where it doesn't matter what you do. All you have is the political connections, and then you get rich, and the taxpayers get poor, and the country's impoverished. Case closed.
Bruce, you're against crony capitalism. You don't like crony capitalism. You share that dislike with the rest of us. Doesn't this kind of project lead to more of it?
I think what we need to know is how is she going to pay for it? I mean, in Iowa, we know the farmers get big subsidies. I mean, if you can find a way to pay for it and maybe reduce farm subsidies on landowners that are gaining huge returns on that. I think it needs to be paid for. That's
but
what she's not
Emac, we
clear
know
about.
how it's paid for. $150 billion from us, the taxpayers, in the past 6 years.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton and these types of politicians are again, always good at spending other people's money. The Washington Post did a deep dive into the President Obama's green technology and green renewable programs and found politics at every level. It was memos and internal emails. So it is crony capitalism on steroids.
But Mike, Hillary never mixes politics with personal business, does she? Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I missed something. I don't know.
That's one of the best lines you've had in a long time, David. That's great. My buddy Bruce keeps saying it depends on how we're going to pay for it. Even if we had $1 zillion windfall, we shouldn't spend a dime on it because of exactly what John Tamny said. If the markets want it, there's plenty of money out there to invest in it. Let them decide. Why does she think that as an individual, she knows better than thousands and thousands of free market experts as to where our future lies?
Because she's always been in the public sector. She hasn't been in the private sector. That's why. I mean, the one time she was defending an SNL that went bust, but that's a whole nother story, gang. Thank you very much.